What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know so. And today I'm going to go over my sleepers for the NFL draft. The draft, it's a week away, so I'm going to go in, just give you some guys that I have higher grades on than where they're probably going to go, and I think they're going to be tremendous value to whoever takes them. But go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. It's always much appreciated, much obliged. I will have an NFL draft party going on here on YouTube, so feel free to come by and kick it all 3 days. It's going to be a banger, so I hope to see you there for that. NFL or team-specific mock drafts still popping up on the channel. Starting to get down to the bottom of the list, I believe, so check those out. I guess I am going to do a list of guys that I think are going to go or that are going to be overdrafted. That makes sense. Basically, teams are gonna not necessarily reach, but they're gonna take these guys, and I think the value's probably better elsewhere. And that's a list that's gonna just piss people off. I'll probably will release one more first round mock draft before the draft actually goes on. So I'll probably release that maybe Wednesday when a little more news and whatnot comes out about specifically where people may go. But let's go ahead, let's dive into this. This is no particular order, but I'm gonna start with Adam Trautman out of Dayton. Basically, he's my tight end one. I just switched it this week. He was my tight end too, but I have him jump in our boy Cole Kmet, just because you know what, I think both are pretty well-rounded tight ends, but Trautman is such a stinking weapon. I think he goes underappreciated for that. He was a banger at the Senior Bowl. He proved he could win on those one-on-ones. He's one of the best route runners. He won't beat you with speed, so I don't know how much of a downfield threat he will ever be. But the guy's going to move the chains. He's going to be a monster in the red zone. I mean, just looking at his size, 6'5", 255. He can block in line. So while I look at, like, just putting him and Kmet right next to one another, saying, okay, they're both, for the most part, they're very similar prospects in what they can do. But I just love the playmaking ability of Trautman. Right, I got a second round grade on him. He'll probably go, I've seen, maybe late third or somewhere in the fourth round. So I think a team's going to get a deal on him. Cameron Dantzler coming in here as my next one. Y'all know I love Cameron Dantzler. And the combine kind of shot his grade for a lot of people because the 40 time was pretty bad. What was it? See specifically 4.64. He came in with great size but a very slim frame. I mean, only 188 for being 6'2". A little worrisome. He does have a noticeable history, at least from teammates, of having trouble packing on weight. He comes in with also short arms, so I put here he's ideal in a press zone coverage scheme, which you could be like, short arms, I don't think I really want you to press, but I'd rather, yes, there's a lot of things coming out of the combine that you don't necessarily like to see, but you still got to buy the tape on this guy. He's for 2 to 3 years he's shut down the SEC, locking down some of the best playmakers in all of football. The guy, he's very patient in press. He doesn't really try to stonewall guys at the line, kind of mirrors them for a little bit. I just like that, and I mean, the guy, he's just good. He's just good. I think, honestly, in my opinion, the speed is a bit worrisome, but I think he can play man. But ideally, the guy's working in his zone. He reads the quarterback very well. I have a second round grade on him. He's my cornerback 8. There we go. Cornerback 8. But he's probably going to go to the third round just because people are going to be sleeping on him after, like I said, the combine was not kind to him. But let's go over Curtis Weaver, one of my favorites, and I know it's one of yours. Y'all probably all know. If you're not new to the channel, you know how much I love Curtis Weaver. The guy comes in, he did slim down a little bit. He's 265, but the biggest knock on Weaver is that he's not athletic. He's not doesn't have an athletic build, but screw that. This guy's been one of the top, like he's been one of the best pass rushers for the last 2 years. His pass rush win rate is been amazing, and that's coming from a scheme in Boise where I think it wasn't really tailor-made for him as a pass rusher. Often he was coming in as a stand-up pass rusher. I mean, all of his he was lined up always outside of the tackle. I have him right now ideal in a 4-3, really anywhere that'll let him put his hand in the dirt and come off the edge around that 5 to 6 tech area. I like him like that. The guy, he knows how to use his hands. He's very good at winning, and he's just very underrated. Coming out of the Mountain West, people are like, oh, well, he dominated the Mountain West. He dominated competition he was supposed to dominate. The guy did his thing. He's going to be a steal. I have a first-round pick on him. He'll probably go somewhere in the second, though. He is my edge rusher 3. Yeah, there we go. I had to think about it for a sec. Next, I got GENO Stone out of Iowa. Another guy that's pretty underrated. I have a 3rd round grade on him, and it's likely he probably won't go till day 3, maybe that 4th round type of territory. I think ideally he's good in the slot or a deep zone there at Iowa. He's very disciplined. They play a very zone heavy scheme there at Iowa, but again, very disciplined. Not necessarily the most athletic guy, but I mean, it's not like he's not athletic though. The guy, he's very wise. He trusts his instincts, and again, just he's good. He's a solid tackler. I think he is vastly underrated. And yeah, man, some team's gonna get a steal some in the 4th round. I assume that's where he's gonna go. I got him as my safety 7. And then next on my list, I got my boy Jack Driscoll. I love him. I think he is very underrated. He's my offensive tackle 11. Currently got a 3rd round, early 3rd. I'd be willing to take him in the 2nd round. Probably I've seen him go as late as the 4th round, which really surprises me. I've really come on to this guy since the 2nd half of the year. I came into the season liking Prince Tango Wanagoho, his teammate there on the left, but Driscoll totally outplayed him. Honestly outclassed him. But I mean, we knew Tango Wanagoho was a very raw prospect, but you gotta love the athleticism. You gotta love he's very sound technique wise, and this is dating back before he even came to Auburn, back at UMass. So ideally probably gonna work best in a zone blocking scheme. I'd like to keep him on the right side just because that's just his most natural position. That's where he's played for almost his whole career. So I'd like to keep him there. But yeah, some team's gonna get a sleeper there, especially if he doesn't go till the 4th, which is just wild. Next, I got JAUAN Jennings out of Tennessee, wide receiver. The guy, he had the most broken tackles of any receiver this season. The guy is a yards after the catch type of receiver right here. I say he's ideal for the slot or off screens, and it's just because that 4.72 time, it kind of made it, I knew he was going to be fast, but wow, man, it is pretty slow. It's a little daunting, so that's why I have him here at least early in his career. He's probably going to be in the slot, but like I said, he racks up yards after the catch. He's got really good moves. He's not a complete route runner yet, but the routes he can do, he is very solid at. I have him, he's my wide receiver 17, which sounds like it's down there, but it's a very good wide receiving class, or at least I think highly of it. So I currently have a 3rd round grade on him. We're talking this guy might fall to, like, I've seen 6th round, which I think is going to be an utter steal. Some team's going to really pay dividends for getting a guy like this. So currently projected mid day 3. Like I said, it's going to be a steal. Next, I got Jordan Elliott out of Missouri, another guy that y'all are, if you're not new to the channel, you're probably aware that I'm really high on him. He doesn't necessarily have the physical upside of your Derek Brown, of your Javon Kinlaw, but at least when it comes to Derek Brown, he's on par athletic, or he's probably actually a better athlete than Derek Brown. And I think he can fit in any scheme. He's a first round pick in my opinion. I think he outplayed Derek Brown as far as a pass rusher this season. He's very good at penetrating, timing gaps, and just shimmying himself through blocks. There's a lot to like about this guy. So maybe most ideally, he's a gap penetrator, maybe like a 2-gap type of system. But again, I think he could go wherever. He could fit anywhere, but currently got a first round on him. I think I already mentioned that, but it's probably, I see mock drafts having him go late second, early third. It's a little, for me, it's discouraging because I love him so much as a prospect. And then I got Michael ONWENU out of Michigan, another guy I've been high on for almost this whole year. I got him as my offensive interior 9. I have a 3rd round grade on him. Again, another guy looking maybe to be a mid day 3, so that 5th, even 6th round we're talking about here. He's got great sizes. Mammoth at 6'3", 344. He's just strong. He's strong. He plays strong. I think he's a lot more athletic than people give him credit for. Ideally, probably a gap blocking scheme, but I think he can really play. I think he can play in his own blocking scheme. He is athletic enough. He's very quick off the line. He's quick to get to that that point of attack. He's got a, and the dude is so strong. He's got an absolute kill switch. Another thing that might drop him, he's probably only locked into guard. I can't see him playing under center. And obviously he can play on the outside. If, like I said, I think he's a lot more athletic than some people think he is. Not athletic enough to play tackle. Just gonna put that out there. Next, I got another offensive interior. It's actually my number 1 offensive interior, Natane Moody out of Fresno State. A lot of people are probably not as high as I am on Moody. The guy is just a monster. He is, for me, he is Quentin Nelson almost levels of hype when it comes to offensive interior prospect. I'm not saying he's like a top 10 pick, but I think he'd be a great late first round pick. Currently, it has him going somewhere in that 3rd to 4th round area. The guy is just strong. The big knock on him, though, is it's really the injuries. They're back-to-back season-ending injuries. One was, I believe, this year it was a shoulder, and then the other one, I think it was a knee or ankle, maybe an ACL. But they don't, one way or another, they don't correlate with another, you know? So it's not like we're looking at long-term damage there. So the big problem is he being hurt. We've only seen limited snaps. Like, we only saw 233 this past season. But from what you've seen, like, the guy plays with the nastiness that's just terrifying. He's got some stank to his game, if you know what I'm saying. But again, the limited sample size, the injuries, they're going to shoot him down the board, but I think he's going to be a true steal. Next, I got TREVIS GIPSON out of Tulsa. This guy, he's kind of had he's got a pretty raw deal here, because I think he's got the length. The guy, he's athletic for the position. It's just at Tulsa, he wasn't really asked. He was primarily asked to be a run defender, often lining him up 6 tech or even further out, and he was just asked to play the run. You know, I've talked about TCU, where they have these great athletes, but they don't really teach them the fundamentals. They're really a run, stop the run first team. Like when you had guys like Collier and Banagu come out, it was like they didn't really know any pass rush moves because they were never really taught to do that. You were taught to stop the run first and foremost. And Gipson's kind of in the same mold here. I think ideally you can stand him up. You could even put him put his hand in the dirt, but he's going to play that 5 to 6 tech. He's actually very, very strong. Like I talked about his length. He has played a variety of different areas on the defensive line. Like he has played a little bit in the B gap, but I mean a large majority of this is coming outside of the tackle. He will need to, I think once he gets to the NFL, he's better as maybe even just an early down defender. I mean, he needs to work on getting a larger toolbox of pass rush moves. But I think there's a lot to like about him. I got a 3rd round grade because this is an edge class where we're talking about guys who have elite pass rushing traits but don't really have the production. And for me, Gipson kind of has the production. In a run defend dominant scheme, he managed 8 sacks, 28 hurries. I was just overall just impressed with Gipson. And he's gonna go, we talked about that 4th to 5th round, maybe even 6th round area. Not a lot of people are really talking about Gipson, and I think that's kind of messed up because he's a really good prospect. Next, I got Tyler BIADASZ, and you might be wondering why is he on here, because it's just you really haven't heard nothing, and this is kind of stuff that's kind of, I think, came up recently, which I mean, we'll get to that in a minute. He's currently my offensive tier 5. I got a 2nd round grade on him, late 2nd. I really like him. He's really produced the first 2 years of as a starter at center. Last year was a down year by his standards. He didn't really pass block well, but he's still a dominant run defender, run blocker. There we go. But in the emergence of guys like Cesar Ruiz, Robert Hunt, I mean, you can even say Lloyd Cushenberry, who he's getting a lot of hype, a lot of momentum. Kind of hurt his stock just these guys are rising. So I mean, in retaliation, you know, BIADASZ, he falls. I think he can work on his play strength, but I still think he's gonna be very phenomenal at the next level. Probably ideal for a zone blocking scheme. I know I've kind of like early in the season I would often mock him to the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan just because I love how he fits in that offense. But the big thing coming out the last couple of weeks is people talking about his medical history. He did decide not to come out last year as a redshirt sophomore because of the hip, and then this year he's kind of been limited because I believe it was the shoulder, and so people are kind of like throwing medical red flags out there. So this is a guy who we could actually see fall on some team, get a lot of like just real good value on. And then my final name on the list is no one new, Tyler Johnson, the black sheep of the wide receiver group. He's my wide receiver 11. Got a 2nd round grade on him. We're talking this guy could maybe even slip to the 4th round. I think there's the big knock on him is, I think for people is one, his speed. He didn't get to run the 40, but I think he would probably run in the maybe a 4.5, 8, maybe even a 4.6. So knock on him was probably his speed, but he does a lot of things well, but nothing great, you know. And that's stuff like that tends to slip down the draft. If you are good at much but master of none, you know, you kind of fall down the draft. And that's where I have Johnson. I think he's an ideal number 2. He could play in the slot, so you got that versatility of him playing on the outside, playing in the slot. The guy's faced press coverage before. He is one of the best route runners in my opinion. He was in the top 10 of yards per route. He's very good in the red zone. He's pretty decent at the contested catch. Like I just said, there's a lot of things to like about him. One of the biggest concerns probably is his hands, his catching, which I've talked ad nauseum about Tyler Johnson, he doesn't have a drop problem. I think it's more of a concentration problem because you won't see these drops until like they all like kind of surface in one game, where he'll go like 3 or 4 games, okay, solid, and then out of nowhere 3-4 drops in a game. I think it's more of a concentration thing. It's not a his hands need to get better thing. So outside of that, I'm not, like I said, I'm not too worried about the drops. He's just a solid receiver, and unfortunately sometimes just being a solid receiver makes you a day 3 type of guy. But some team's gonna get a steal because Tyler Johnson is excellent. But that's it for the video. Go ahead and do the YouTube thing. It's always much appreciated, much obliged. Like I said, next week I'll be out with I guess my overdrafted prospects of the NFL draft. I don't know what I'm naming it yet. Overhyped. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.